I catch a lot of hell sometimes on my views on addiction, right? I mean, at some point, you got to accept responsibility that shit will kill you. And you can't negate the fact that there's ample signs of warnings, right? If you watch homeless people or in your families and communities, or you go to a lot of funerals for fentanyl, I mean, everybody understands that if you mess with dope, there is a high probability that you're going to die, if not a lot of things. But we still negate it. We still compensate it and, argue it, mental health issue, and, it's a disease, and blah, 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 and, and this and that, and only if, and what if we water it down, we dilute it. It's a fucking choice, right? Later down the road, yeah, you might have some ramifications if you stop. Your body may go through withdrawals, but it's a fucking choice, right? And I made this statement, this video, it's been a while back, about, if addiction was like people pissing on power lines or grabbing hold of power lines, nobody would get high, right? Everybody understands that if you grab a hold of a power line, you're going to fry. And if we just had that kind of clarity with people wanting to shoot up, people wanting to smoke some dope, right? And I'm not talking about grass. People wanting to, do a line across the hood of their car. If we just had some clarity on that, right? Like we have the clarity and visualization that, hey, if you go and touch a power line, you're going to light up and smoke. Right? Electric chair. We wouldn't have a dope problem. Agreed? I made that video and I got a phone call from JR. And JR is in the tree business. Matter of fact, he's a safety coordinator for a major nationwide tree business that, does power lines and tree poles and all that. And he was talking about the video and this and that. And he said, he said, man, I've got it kind of rough. He said, I got a son that's in the same business. They had been through some, what families go through, and they had gotten their lives together. And his son was actually working for a company that was competing against JR, right? But every day they would call each other and they would talk about work and kid each other and who's bidding this and who's bidding that, how to do this and how to do that, and the dad was having a wonderful relationship with his son. They were in the same business despite two different companies. His dad's the head of safety coordinator. His son's a up and coming star, in his company. And he said, my boy was cutting trees today. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget this. He said he was cutting a tree next to a power line. That tree buckled, caught that power line, and that power line got on my boy. And it killed him, electrocuted him. And he broke down. I said, man, I made that video. He said, I know you made that video. I said, it wasn't directed at you or your family. I know, I get it. And it was just an odd moment, man. Right. I call him from time to time to check on him. I haven't in a couple months, but usually about every 90 days I touch base. He's getting through it, getting better every day, getting stronger, but broke his heart. Devastation. He lost his best friend. It happened to be his son. And he just happened to watch that video. And it kind of jarred me too. Like, and I think we see things in the world that have some common similarities, right? And then we start comparing apples to oranges, right? And then we start putting our own personal opinions, relationships. And the next thing you know, right, what was a real tragedy is a real tragedy in both examples. Him losing his son and people overdosing and dying. Right? It's just a matter of clarity. Right? Denial. We live in a deal of denial. That tree ain't gonna buckle that way. I'm safe. Hey, this dope's clean. It ain't got no fentanyl in it. Let me put it in a rig. And the next thing you know, everybody that is left with heartache and they're heartbroken have to bury you. And go on like JR, living a life with a lot of hurt and pain and missing. And so, outside of work safety, which is very important, you can get killed in a heartbeat doing a lot of these jobs. Mechanicking, trucking, cutting trees, electrical work, framing, cherry pickers. Work safety is important. But you need to know your value and that you're not invincible. And you don't know that next shot. And here's the thing about that. Here's the big difference. If you get hurt at work, people are going to run to rescue you. But if you do a bad shot or you OD with your buddies, they're going to run off and leave you. And they're not going to call nobody. They ain't going to try to help you. Fluid English.